good evening to everyone. Here in Kuching is about 4:45 p.m. So I would like to first thank Dr. Anthony Iduk for your kindness to invite me into this presentation and also publishing with your distinguished journals. Fellow presenters and members of the audience. My topic today approximately reflects my article to be published in the next ARC journal entitled Reviving the Islamic Narratives About the Sacredness of Nature. Okay, I hope you can see my slide. Yeah. Okay. In this presentation, I will use key ideas in my papers to reflect about religion and environmental flourishing from the Islamic perspective. For my purpose, I draw from the scholar Syed Hussein Nasr's work, seminal work entitled Man and Nature, the Spiritual Crisis of Modern Man, and his Scientia Sacra, or the Sacred Science, as a form of worldview to provide a metaphysical based and outlook of nature, to revive a divine-based cosmology of nature. I reflect by asking the relative absence.
Can you switch to the full screen, because right now we're seeing.
Okay. How do I do that? Let me see.
Go to.
How do I do that? See all slides. Let me see. Can I just?
Right now you have yours on the presenter's view.
Yeah.
If you turn off the presenter's view, then we will.
I see. Let me see. How is it right now?
Now we just see you.
Oh, okay. Let me do it again. Yeah.
If you just turn off the presenter's view, I think we will see the full screen.
Okay. Sorry about. So I'll share screen again. Okay. Can you see it full screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me do it again on the introduction slide. So I will use key ideas in my paper to reflect about religion, environmental flourishing from the Islamic perspective. For my purpose, I draw from Syed Hussein Nasr's work, seminal work entitled Man and Nature, Spiritual Crisis of Modern Man, and his Scientia Sacra, the Sacred Science, as form of worldview to provide a metaphysical base and outlook of nature to revive a divine-based cosmology of nature. I reflect by asking the relative absence of religion in informing public political discourse, because that's my field, that seem to be dominated by modern science when it comes to identifying meaningful solutions to the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, as much of our modern problems about politics. So we must reflect upon ourselves that even as religious believers, empirical science and statistics seem to be more relevant for us in deciding the right action and attitude towards COVID-19 and the environment at large. Hence, I asked, where is the relevance of religious narrative in this? So I intend to briefly answer the problem today and hopefully expand it to the larger discussion about environmental flourishing. In my case, I am looking into Islam. So my main thesis is this. Learning from the COVID-19 pandemic, I argue that there is a general absence of a comprehensive metaphysical outlook of nature that has alienated humankind from a divine-based cosmology of nature. Thus, we look COVID-19 as exclusively empirical, even secular, quote-unquote, natural object, as just another thing to conquer and to defeat. Confident with our perceived present ability, especially in modern natural and medical sciences, arrogance took our attitude until COVID-19 engulfed the entire planet. Realizing we could not stop the pandemic as per our expectation, our arrogance turned to fear and even despair. Hence, enter the relevance of Islam and its perspective about cosmology of nature drawn from it. I further argue that a present Islamic perspective should revive the inclusivity between man and nature to reconnect humankind to the sacred aspects of nature. My aim is to establish a narrative born of Islam to serve as communique for those who seek reconnection with nature in ecosophy by accounting Michel Serres' natural contract to develop a new political ecology because of new political consciousness that can born from it. I will try to bring 4 points to assert my thesis, namely, number 1, by recentering the importance of revelation as part of universal epistemology. I will elaborate on that later. Number 2, exposing a metaphysical crisis thanks to COVID-19, especially with regards to our overconfidence and arrogance with our present knowledge in modern science. Number 3, to propose that COVID-19 and our reflection of it as an environmental phenomenon could be more universally viewed within Tawhidic perspective. The Tawhidic perspective is a kind of a monotheist view that is rendered within Islam. There's a specific perspective called Tawhidic perspective. And number 4, by expanding NASA Scientia Sacra into Michel Serres' contract theory with nature would bring about God in contemporary analysis of environmental political thought. I call it theophany in ecosophy. So, the first point, on recentering revelation as key source of knowledge about nature without abandoning the fruit of human reason vis-a-vis empirical science. Revelation-based religion vis-a-vis Islam could play a role in informing humanity's total worldview at large. There are ways at looking in comprehending nature beyond modern rationalism and empirical science. NASA's sacred science, for instance, is a method that points to the ultimate unity and reality of God, for instance, with regards to human reflections about his natural surrounding. Nature, seen from revelatory sources, opens a doorway for everyone to access the great unity beyond the egoistic self. With regards to environmental flourishing, this would enable a perspective that emphasizes a sense of community that transcends the socio-cultural. The world put together as a spiritual community that resonates a sense of common belonging to nature, from whatever angle this unity is perceived. The Quran, a Sharia text and spiritual guide, provides ample examples and verses that relate to the natural phenomena, i.e. Surah Al-Ra'd, the chapter of thunder, the sound of thunder, as it is called. There is a lot of many verses in the Quran that reflects the nature. God even swears, like taking oath in the name of some natural objects, such as the sun, washams waduhaha, washamsi waduhaha, by the suns and by the rising dawn, something like that. Okay, as a form of reflection that everyone could do. First, as the self, and second, as the community at large. The second point, COVID exposes an underlying metaphysical crisis that our present concept of progress is essentially defined by economic development with almost total modern person. Following Nasser again, a great natural challenge such as the COVID-19 pandemic also provides a great opportunity to regain our spiritual relationship with nature. The pandemic forces us to reflect first and foremost our own deeds and misdeeds towards the environment, that our every action has consequences. These have been taught by all major religions, but is somehow forgotten or not taken seriously in modern narratives, especially within modern political thought and modern science that tend to be suspicious of anything with religious import. Metaphysically, COVID-19 exposes our lack of focus towards the center, vis-a-vis God, in more fundamental sense. The third point, COVID-19 could be viewed from the Tawhidic perspective of Islam as an opportunity to return inwards and toward the center from the turbulent circumferential periphery. The center is God in Islamic sense at various levels of our understanding. Here, the key is everything belongs and returns to God, including all matters that pertain to the pandemic. Applied to the environment at large, we know that all of it belongs and will ultimately return to God also. Thus, by reflecting nature this way, we could avoid deadening perspective that nature has no purpose at all and hence it's futile to work on improving the environment. In other words, we don't give up. Confidence in one's realization that the betterment of the environment is indeed a form of getting closer to the center, to God, could serve as an orientation to a better life that prefers growth as defined by Tawhid, monotheism. That is consciousness to the divine reflected by science or ayah in nature, as opposed to merely economic growth, for instance. The pandemic is also a symbol of cognizance, not just a scientific challenge. It presents a great but not impossible challenge that hope and ultimate divinity are always present at all times. It is up to us to turn it into a story of hope or of a story of a despair to face other surmounting and related environmental crises, such as the climate change. My last point, theophany in ecosophy as new political ecology. I suggested in my paper that Nasa Scientia Sacra could be expanded to inform Michel Serres' natural contract. Serres, in one hand, is looking into the possibility of human dialogue with nature. Nasser, on the other, is proposing that all of nature is the sign of God, the ultimate unity and reality. Therefore, if we could adopt in political thought regarding the environment that subscribes to God consciousness as proposed by Nasser, that everything in nature is theophanic in one way or another, we could enhance Serres' dialogue about nature, that it is not only between humans and their created counterparts in nature. Instead, it is a dialogue between humans and their creator, and in fact, non-humans and their creator too. This way, perhaps we could begin to bridge the metaphysical to the practical in political thought. God, yet again, plays a central importance in political thought to inform that without him, the discussion about a better environment would be futile. We learn this from our forgetting the divine within the narrative of development in modern context. To conclude, I ask again by asking our prior problem, where is religion in the matter of COVID and environmental flourishing? I propose from here, from the Islamic point of view following Nasser, it is in answering a metaphysical crisis. It is also a form of inferiority or superiority complex, depending on our own viewpoint, of our largely modernistic view of nature that we mistook development to almost exclusively economic development. To enable a dialogue with nature, both when we are alone and in silent, and we are in collective and aloud, hopefully opens a way to resacralize an intellectual space in political thought. In this case, is the environment. How long can we truly wonder about the twinkling stars, as so we often sung in our nursery rhymes as children? Thank you for your attention.